What's going on, geeks and gamers? Welcome to Gaming with Geeks, the episode 2 of the Gaming with Geeks podcast that we're going to do weekly for you guys. I think we're going to stick to Saturday mornings, but well, morning for me, afternoon for these gentlemen here. And speaking of these gentlemen, Mark the Cyborg, how are you doing, sir?
Hello there, everybody. I'm doing quite well. So
nice.
It's been an interesting couple days, but things are going good.
That's true. And Mark just got done doing a pretty awesome Valorant vid on the main channel. If you guys have not watched that yet, a pretty good breakdown of a game that's sweeping, I don't know about the world, but there's definitely a lot of attention being paid to it, especially over on Twitch right now. And then we also have Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Jeremy, how are you doing?
Hello. In my mind, the most anticipated gaming podcast on the entire internet. So I'm happy to be here for all 58 people watching. But no, we had a lot of fun last week, and our boy Lethal is not here right now. He is currently.
We also have it, Jeremy.
Yeah. Oh wow, background. Who is that?
Oh, that might have been me. I was just trying to
okay.
look up the chat.
But yeah, Lethal is having some medical issues. Nothing major, I don't think. But he also has a hot nurse, so he's not in too bad a shape.
Nurse Ashley, protect our boy, Nurse Ashley.
Yeah, we were told specifically to mention Nurse Ashley that she's hot. So hopefully that gets you the digits you needed. Hopefully that gets you what you need, Lethal. So hope you feel better. Don't be so weak next time. That'd be my suggestions. Don't be so weak. But he will be back here next week. A lot of people in the chat already, guys. 60 people. Make sure everybody smashes the like button and shares this stream out there. And speaking of, I saw someone say, Jeremy, make Nintendo restock the Switch. And I feel like let's get that out of the way right now. There it is. Minor Home says, Jeremy, make Nintendo restock the Switch. Let's get the good Nintendo news out of the way first on the podcast today. As you know, if anyone knows Jeremy, you know he's a huge Nintendo fan. And he was bragging to us all about all of the Switches that have been sold. How many is that, Jeremy? 1 million in 1 month?
In the U.S., over 1 million last month. Absolutely insane. Switch is pulling holiday numbers right now. Obviously, it's benefiting from what's going on, but that still doesn't minimize that's an insane number. And obviously, with Animal Crossing being the third best-selling Nintendo IP upon launch, behind, I believe, Smash Bros. And I think it was 2 different Smash Bros. Games. But yeah, so the Switch is on fire. It is on pace right now. It is ahead of the PlayStation 4 pace at this particular time. After 3 years after their launch, it is ahead of the PS4 pace. Will it catch the PS4? I kind of speculated upon that. That kind of comes into how much is Nintendo going to support it. And I think that it has a chance. I mean, the PlayStation 4 is definitely at the end of its run. I'd say the PlayStation 4 might cap out at about 120 million units, maybe 125. That puts it the third best-selling console of all time, which is a huge accomplishment. But obviously, we're on the cusp of the PS5. Do we have a release date for that yet, Mark?
No, there's not really even been any solid announcements on whether or not both Xbox Series X and PlayStation 4 are going to 100% be launching this year now. That was the initial stated thing, but with what's going on in the world, it's very possible that they might slip into spring. So I think they would be foolish to announce a firm release date now, especially because their big tentpole game for May, The Last of Us 2, just got pushed back to an indefinite delay. So indefinite means that theoretically they could be like, okay, we've got our supply chain figured out. Last of Us is now launching in June, or it could be Last of Us is going to be launching during the holiday with the PS5, or who knows?
Yeah.
Just nothing solid at this point.
So I mean, with that, I mean the PlayStation's definitely at the end of its run. The Xbox is pretty irrelevant. I mean, the Switch has already passed the Xbox One, and but yeah, so a hella good month for Nintendo from that perspective. But they also had some issues too.
That's true. I think this was really the impetus. There's some nefarious people out there that have been pushing these Nintendo Switch sales so they could compromise everyone's accounts. And I do just want to say, like you said, Jeremy, the Animal Crossing had a big deal deal to do with those. There was like 1 million people out there, women and children, that did not have Nintendo Switches, so they needed to get them to purchase Animal Crossing. But with that being said, we did have a pretty big hacking attempt. Well, not attempt. Attempt would mean that they failed in some kind of way, but 160,000 Nintendo accounts were compromised recently due to a hack. And it's, you know, it's rough whenever that happens. They did come out and they were pretty straightforward about it, which I do think is good on Nintendo for, you know, coming out and giving all this information. But they did confirm that a recent hacking attempt on its system compromised the login IDs and password of 160,000 Nintendo Network ID accounts. The company then disabled the ability to log into Nintendo accounts, which I think might be a little overreaction for some people, but at the end of the day, it's going to protect those people information. What did you think when you heard all about this, Mark?
I think that these things do happen. Like, I mean, I tend to criticize Nintendo's online support probably more than anyone on the channel, but there was a massive PlayStation Network breach in, I want to say 2011. That was like it actually went down for a long time because of it. I think PlayStation Network was down for like close to 2 months. And so I like no online infrastructure is going to be hack proof. It is a bit of a shame that this happened now, especially while there's probably a lot of, as Jeremy was saying with the sales, there's probably a lot of new people signing up for Nintendo Online accounts. My big thing, though, is when Microsoft and Nintendo were talking about doing some work together, I think it was around the time that they were establishing Minecraft and Fortnite crossplay. What I was kind of hoping for is that Xbox would start licensing their network technology to Nintendo. And that I think would help a lot. I think it would help Nintendo's multiplayer issues quite a lot because Microsoft has always sort of had the best, at least console online infrastructure. And I guess the only thing I hope that could be good about this is that maybe it might be a wake up call to Nintendo to tighten things up on the back end for the online stuff, because it's always sort of been their weak point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree for the most part of everything you said. I mean, this isn't isolated to Nintendo. They're not the only company that it's ever been hacked, and they're not the only company that has to deal with this. And them being hacked isn't a direct result of their terrible online infrastructure per se. But I think that it is a good opportunity to bring up their terrible online. It is bad. It is very, very bad. And they need to do something about it. I mean, again, I love Nintendo, and I'm always going to be a fan of them. And the online aspect doesn't impact the reasons I love Nintendo for, their amazing first-party games and the fact that they stay true to their IPs and they don't bring any identity politics into the equation that bogs it down. These are all wonderful things that they do, but when it comes to their online, it is not good. If you try to play Smash Bros. Online, it feels like you're playing something on the Dreamcast. You know what I mean? From back in the day when that was like the first console that had internet. This is how far behind Nintendo is. They've consistently been lagging behind in this, pun intended, with the online aspect. So it needs a lot of work. Thank you, I guess, for letting us fucking have voice chat on our fucking smartphone through your dumb app. Good job, Nintendo. A groundbreaking decision there. I mean, but
I forgot all about that. I forgot how stupid that was.
I honestly think that when you open the voice chat icon on the Switch, it should just be just use Discord.
Yeah, I don't know. You're literally giving us an option that we have 10 other platforms we can use. Hey, that phone? Yeah, we're gonna let you voice chat through it. It's it's a phone, Nintendo. That's what you do already.
Just call your buddies. Call your buddies. Yeah. Hopefully, you have an unlimited in-country calling plan.
So anyway.
And it is, kind of like you said, that's always kind of been their weak point. Before we started, you were complaining about the Wii Mario Kart on the Wii back in the day and how terrible that was as well. God. And it's just, I think it's interesting, even though I'm not a Nintendo person, although I did have a 64 and I did have a GameCube. That was the last Nintendo thing I had before I bought the Switch. I would say that I've always kind of respected them in a way because they don't try to do what everyone else is doing. They understand that their market is a little bit different, and that like they do have a very dedicated market. And so I think the one thing they really need to do is catch up with that online stuff that PlayStation and Xbox have had for so long. Although I kind of respect them for doing their own thing, it's time to actually get this shit right, because it's just not enjoyable to play Super Smash Brothers on there. That's the only other thing I've played online other than Mario Kart. Mario Kart's not enjoyable because it sucks, and I hate it because I don't like losing. But as far as the online shit, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Kart runs fairly smooth. I mean, we don't really have any issues with Mario Kart. I don't really have any issues with it online. But
there you go. For our podcast listeners, Thrawn comments, Star Wars Explained and his sister have publicly admitted they play Animal Crossing. Ryan was correct. And they visited Jeremy's Geeks and Gamers Island in the game.
I love how they say sister.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mario Kart, it does run pretty well for the most part. But Smash is, it's hard to enjoy Smash online. But overall, again, it's an opportunity to pounce on Nintendo for things that they need to be criticized for. But the hack itself, it does suck. It's not good. It's not specific to Nintendo. We know that. We acknowledge that. But it's part of a bigger problem with Nintendo from my perspective and a lot of people's perspective.
Yeah, agreed. But at the end of the day, yeah, my PlayStation Network was down for a couple months one time due to that, and that was stupid. So we can't give them too much crap. You can play Witcher 3 now, I believe, says Darkside Droids.
I mean, yeah, as a Nintendo homer, if there's ever games on that are available on other consoles, I'll play them on other consoles. I'm not gonna play Witcher 3 on Nintendo.
Here's the thing, though, with Witcher 3 that I hope is, and also Divinity Original Sin 2, that I hope Switch starts doing much more often, cross-save with the Steam versions of those games. So you can play it on PC when you want to have the good experience at home, like with solid frame rates and everything. But both of those games being RPGs, if you're on a train ride or something and you want to just knock out some side quests and make your character more powerful, you can transfer your save file to the Switch version, play on Switch, then transfer your file back to... For Divinity, I think it's just the Steam version, and for Witcher 3, it's both Steam or GOG versions. So honestly, I would be buying a lot more Switch versions of games I already own if that started to become a more common feature, because it'd be worth it to just be like, oh, okay, I can play this and make some progress on the go.
Okay.
Yeah, that is really unique and interesting. I like that. Kind of like how the PlayStation was that the PlayStation Vita? Yeah, it was supposed to be. Yeah.
I have criticized Nintendo many times. I've said the Wii U is the single worst marketing campaign in the history of video games. I've said that the Wii oversaturated the market with family-friendly bullshit games that were horrible and nobody cared about. So great games like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, when you walked into a GameStop back then and you looked at the Wii section, all you saw was like, cooking games and game party games and motion control bullshit, and it was just like saturated with all this bullshit. But there were some absolute gems within that, but it was just so bogged down with all the nonsense. So Nintendo is definitely not above criticism, but what they do best, they do better than anyone. They're just a weird bunch. They're kind of like Mark. They're just weird. So
I run at much better frame rates overall, though.
That's true. And he's only got one leg to run on, so that is impressive. So speaking of Mark brought a story to our attention that we wanted to talk about today, and that is Doom Eternal and the soundtrack regarding Doom Eternal. And maybe we might have release the blank cut of whatever. Anytime there's any controversy.
The Mick Gordon mix.
Exactly. So why don't you give us a little background on that story and what's going on with Doom Eternal soundtrack?
Before he says it, I want to say, because I don't know the story, all right? But the Doom Eternal soundtrack is amazing. I love the soundtrack. So I'm interested to hear more about this story.
All right, so you probably, just to clarify the language, you love the music from Doom Eternal, because the soundtrack that you can buy, like the official OST, like the official soundtrack, like digital files that you can buy, are basically mixed with like a compressor effect on. So all the highs and lows of all the different instruments and the arrangements kind of all get lost. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that like actually break down why Mick Gordon is personally very pissed about it, and why people are like, hey, wait, like I paid for this soundtrack, or I got the soundtrack with the collector's edition of the game. Why does it sound like crap? And essentially Bethesda just botched the mix. Mick Gordon is very upset about it, and there's been, it's kind of not confirmed as to whether or not this is fake news, or at least this aspect of it, but there's a Twitter DM thread between him and like a fan that follows the Doom music quite a lot, and he says, so like, do you think you'll come back if Bethesda makes another Doom game? And his reply was, no, I don't think we'll be working together again, which is sad, because if they do make a third Doom game, I don't know that it would be a very different game if they didn't have Mick Gordon doing the music, because for Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, the soundtrack is such a huge part about what makes those games feel incredible while you're playing them. That's not to say that he's the only good like heavy metal music composer. Like I think actually a guy whose music I use in a lot of my videos, Andrew Holsholt, who does a lot of what I call boomer shooters, so like sort of old school first person shooter soundtracks. He's fantastic, and I think he could do a great job, but it's still makes you think like, Bethesda, you have such an amazing composer that like created such great music for the, like not just the Doom games, the Wolfenstein games as well, and Prey. Why would you not make sure that he's 100% on board with the mix that you're releasing as essentially his album that they put out? And they're like, yeah, no, they just kind of dumped it out, and they're like, that's it. So there's been a big release the Gordon mix movement happening right now.
Interesting.
Pretty much at this point, anytime there's someone like that's supposed to be some kind of creator or whatever that gets screwed over, or not screwed over, but just taken out of his hands a little bit, there ends up being a release the blank whatever, no matter what happens. But it does say the issue seems to be with the mixing of the soundtrack. Like Mark said, allegedly the mixing was taken off his hands by the marketing team and finished without his oversight, a move which caused immense frustration. And that I don't know. Bethesda must have given it the Fallout 76 treatment. I don't know exactly what they did to his soundtrack to make it sound that bad, but it is sad that Bethesda seemed to screw it up. Like you said, Jeremy, I did not play Doom Eternal, but I did watch a lot of people play it, including Mark and Krista. And the soundtrack is awesome. It makes it is exactly the way that game should feel. You know what I mean? So it's a shame that ends up happening.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great game too. It's straightforward, no story. It's just about, it's about ripping demons' eyeballs out, and you're just chilling in hell, blowing people's heads off. It's amazing. So I love it.
Yeah. So what do you think, Mark? Do you think that we're going to hear that mix at some point, or do you think it's going to be buried?
Think Bethesda would be crazy not to like release a big public apology saying like, yeah, no, like we dropped the ball on this one. If you bought the official soundtrack, like give us a month, give us 2 months, however much time he needs. We're going to let Mick Gordon take whatever time he needs to make the mix perfect, and we're going to release the actual version. I think that might be a real bad thing I'm not sure if they had it, because I know not sure if it's IM 8-bit or there's a couple different companies that make like vinyl special editions, and if that mix went out to those, that's kind of a bad thing, because those are physical products, and it would probably be very expensive to have those remixed and reproduced and reshipped out. But the digital ones, I think they'd be insane to not give Mick Gordon all the time and money he needs to get the mix perfect, and then do like a full mea culpa on it, because Doom 3 without Mick Gordon would be a shame, I think.
Yeah, 100%, especially like the way he phrased it in that tweet. He said, I don't think, like, someone asked something about Bethesda, and he said, I don't think we'll be working together again. Yeah. So that means for all Bethesda, like you said, not just Doom. So That it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, maybe a minor issue to a lot of people, but if you have played Doom or watched a lot of Doom, you know how important the soundtrack is to a lot of fans of that game. It's one of the things to latch on since there's literally no story. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, there's codex entries. You can read the story in the menus.
Yes, you can read the story if you want.
Soundtracks are just. I think a lot of people, some people overlook how important soundtracks are, but they are monumental. I mean, we've all seen the clips of the original trilogy with no music, with like the ceremony scene, and it's just like,
yeah.
I mean, you take John Williams' score out of Star Wars, it fundamentally changes everything about it. It really does. You take John Williams' score out of Superman the movie, it changes everything about it. So you look at some of these great games, the Final Fantasies, the Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger has some of the best music ever. It's not even close. Obviously, all the Mario games, like for me, Mario Galaxy has that effect with like the music, because you take the music out of Mario Galaxy, it's going to have the same effect that taking John Williams' score out of Star Wars for me. Like that soundtrack is a masterpiece. In Mario Galaxy, you take that out and it just changes the game for me. So that Doom Eternal music it's absolutely complimentary, and it makes that game just substantially better. I don't know if you guys have seen the clip. I think I told you about it, Mark, but somebody took the Super Mario Odyssey theme song and overlaid it with Doom Eternal gameplay. It is so good. It is so good because it's so like it's too
diametrically opposed.
Yeah. But it works. It works from that standpoint. We don't need to watch it here right now, but I want to send it to you later, Mark.
You are doing a lot of acrobatics in Doom Eternal, so there's some things in common with the Mario games.
Yeah. Do you get any of the Mario noises? Do you get that too? Just every time he jumps, yippee!
No, it's more because that main theme, that main Odyssey theme with the woman singing. That's the one that it's using, and it's so good. It works so good.
Well, you just think how just something like Halo, like the soundtrack to Halo, and like before meme culture was a thing, just those videos you'd see of like random people singing it or playing it somewhere, in a random subway where it just echoes a bunch. Like those things do become iconic when it really.
Well, I don't know. You guys are asking, do you guys want to see it? I mean, we can play. Do you guys want to play it really quick?
Yeah, let's play it.
Here, let me pull it up really quick. Because we don't have to worry about being copyrighted.
Yeah, a lot. As you're doing that, I'll read some of these in chat here. Okay. A lot of people coming by with their own things. Xenoblade Chronicles, the Quake 2 soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. Quake 2's got a great soundtrack. Xenoblade Chronicles, actually, I wanted to cover on the new release video coming up because a remaster is coming out for Switch at the end of May. And it was originally a Wii U game, so that's why no one ever played it.
Nice. Kingdom Hearts has your favorite video game soundtrack, says GS. I've to the surprise of no one, I'm not a big Kingdom Hearts guy. It was never really my thing to be rolling with Goofy and Donald. But
Lethal's in his hospital bed right now, fist pumping at Kingdom Hearts.
Well, he's pumping something, hopefully.
I did see someone said Nier Automata. Nier Automata has got an incredible soundtrack.
All right, here we go.
Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you.
It's time to raise our sails. It's freedom like you never knew. Say the word, I'll be there in a flash. You could say my hat is off to you. Well, we can zoom all the way to the moon from this great wide wacky world. Jump with me, we're going to be It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar.
It is oddly fitting.
Pauline left Mario for the Doomslayer, confirmed.
You know that you're my superstar. No one else can stand me this far. I'm flipping the switch. Get ready for this song. Let's do the Odyssey. Odyssey, yes. Odyssey, yes. Odyssey, yes. Odyssey, yes. Odyssey, yes. Odyssey, yes. Odyssey, wheel, chance, starts a new romance. A new world's calling out to you.
The edits are great.
My new addition to the cast. You know that any cast needs a crew. Take it and start to move side to side.
All right, it's got another couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I think we get the idea.
I think we're good. Yeah. So for anybody that was just listening, it's just this overlay of all this Mario Odyssey movie over just ripping and tearing in Doom Eternal, and it needs more beeps. Says Hokies,
And that is from a channel OYFF, 42,000 subscribers. OYFF. So here I'll drop a link just so people can have it. But yep, let's move on with the discussion.
Absolutely. But so on to something else. Another. I would say that this has got to be really irritating for a lot of people. And Apollo Patriot was in the chat earlier talking about, hey, don't play Battlefield 5. It's dead. And it really is. Now, Battlefield 5 has had an interesting sort of arc. It did not start off well, and it never really got too much better. And now DICE has basically given up on it completely. So if you guys remember, go ahead and share the screen. When Battlefield 5 was initially released, you see it has a 39% like rate, 350,000 to 540,000 downvotes. And that's because this was the one where it didn't really look like Battlefield 5. If you know people who play a lot of Battlefield, one of the reasons they played is because it has such a different feeling, a more accurate, a more realistic feeling.
Yeah, I like using the term authentic. It's got like kind of an authentic feel to Battlefield games that's less over the top. It's more down to earth. When the arguments about this game were going around, the word realistic was the thing that kind of threw people off a lot because they're like, oh, is it realistic for your health to regenerate? It's like, no, it's not. It's not realism like it's like real life. It's just the art style and the historical representation of amputee women on the front lines of World War II. As an amputee, I'm actually sort of offended by that because I'm not going to be infantry in World War II. Like even my current situation, prosthetics weren't really what they are today. But if you don't like it, don't buy it.
Right. And so this trailer had such a negative reaction because of this right here. It was very marketed as, hey, look at there's women on the front lines in World War II. And not to say that there's no women that ever fought in the World War, but very few and far between. And they definitely weren't wearing like these pretty technically advanced for the time prosthetics. And that was a big problem to a lot of normal people and a lot of hardcore fans of Battlefield 5. And then, like you said, Mark, was it the DICE CEO? Who was it that made those statements?
Patrick Soderlund, who I believe he was one of the CEOs of DICE. I think he might have actually gone on to like a more high-profile job at EA. I believe he's gone now, though. But
that's the one that said like, I can't look at my daughter and not.
He said that his daughter was like, Daddy, why is this happening? Why is everyone so mad? I can play as a girl in Fortnite. Why don't they want me to play as a woman in Battlefield 5? And I was like, I'll take things that never happened for $5,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then he literally told people, he said, you have two options. You can either play it or don't buy it, basically. Either if you don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah, that was his famous quote.
A lot of people just didn't buy it. And they tried to kind of recover from that. It was not a full game at launch, which is one of the frustrating things for a lot of people. Only had 8 maps that you could play in multiplayer, but the plan was to kind of spread them out and release them along, and you wouldn't have to pay for it. It would not be, you wouldn't have to pay for the DLC, but you would have to be patient and wait it out. It turns out for all those people who were so patient and have been waiting all that time, go fuck yourself, basically, because they're not going to finish this game. Chapter 6 is going to be the last one, The Jungle. They are not even going to get back to Europe in World War II. You're not going to see D-Day. You're not going to see the Battle of the Bulge. You're not going to see all the things that people actually want to see in a World War II game. Mm-hmm. So what's been the reaction that you have seen to this, Mark?
Well, I think it's mostly kind of a similar thing that was going on with the Fallout 76 players about a year ago. Things actually for Fallout 76 seem to be improving, but the idea that you have a game that was controversial when it launched, that had trouble finding a footing, but there is still a core group of players who end up accepting all the quirks about the game or even loving them. Like maybe they like the sort of radical art style and weird things mixed in with World War II stuff. Like if that's something that you enjoy, that's cool. But the point is Battlefield 5 did develop a community, and basically EA is now saying, oh yeah, that community of like loyal fans that actually were on board with all the weird choices we were making. Yeah, we don't really care about those people. They're not making us enough money, so we're out, which I found kind of surprising, especially because famously Battlefront 2, which is also an EA DICE game, has sort of gone in the different direction. Like it's kind of pulled itself together over the last couple of years and proven that even though it was a divisive Star Wars game that mostly takes place in the sequel era, and like it had a bunch of tie-ins to things like The Last Jedi that was obviously controversial and had a big loot box controversy. They pulled that around and turned it into a pretty good game that people tend to like quite a bit now. So it's weird to see them with their other flagship game, Battlefield, just being like, yeah, we're out. It's just kind of a strange choice, but I figure that they wouldn't do that at least until they had Battlefield 6 in the cards, like being announced. But
right now, that's not supposed to release probably maybe late 2021, but most people are saying 2022 probably for Battlefield 6. And like, to me, if I am one of those people who has sat there and played through it for so long, now you end up with only 16 maps when Battlefield 4 had 32 maps at the end. After all of the additional content, it's got to be a huge disappointment, and especially the way the reaction's been to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I think a lot of people are back on the Call of Duty train after a couple week entries for them. What do you make of all this, Jeremy?
No, yeah, I think Modern Warfare's had a huge impact on all of this, but it speaks to EA, and their bullshit. And I mean, we remember, how they treated people about Battlefield 5. We remember all the nonsense, and so for them to abandon it completely now is just it's laughable, and it speaks to them, because at the end of the day it all comes down to money, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's when you try to act like it's not about money. You know what I mean? And thank you, Dark Side Droids, for the $10 super chat. So but it's always all about money, and when they act like it's not about money, then that's where when they start putting out this nonsensical messaging, and then they only prove us right. But yeah, I do think that Modern Warfare, especially with the Warzone update and everything, has had a huge impapt on all of that.
They've been really smart about how they've handled Warzone. Like having it so, unlike what they did actually with Black Ops 4, where they just sort of rolled the Battle Royale mode into a game that you still had to buy. Having Warzone be something that you can launch through Modern Warfare if you have it, or download as a free-to-play product independently is a fantastic idea. I think, like, honestly, a lot more games should be just having their multiplayer mode be a thing people can jump into, because multiplayer is dependent on it being good or not, is largely dependent on whether or not there is a community of people playing it, because no one's playing multiplayer games exclusively against AI bots, and eventually people move on to other games. So everything they can do to cultivate a large community of people playing a game will keep a multiplayer game healthy. And on that Angry Joe video that I see Mickey Gusler's comment on, Rags has an incredible video taking that one apart. So if you go over to Rags' channel, look at his Angry Joe Battlefield 5 video. It is awesome.
Yeah. Angry Joe, yeah. So Mikey says Angry Joe is calling people who hated Battlefield 5 conservatives who don't want to see women in anything.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, Angry Joe is still walking bow-legged from what Razor Fist did to him a couple days ago. Yeah. So he's not in the best state. He's in a bad headspace right now. Yeah, I think that's what's going on.
He's too busy dealing with TDS.
Yes.
Bad. He has a bad case of TDS, and Razor Fist absolutely destroyed him. If you have not seen that video, you should be watching that video. It is awesome.
The Jeff Keighley clip made me want to cry. It's a clip of Angry Joe like telling off Jeff Keighley at the Game Awards about there not being like any MMOs nominated, and he's like, "So which MMOs would you nominate?" And he names like one game. He's like,
yeah, that was released last year.
Yeah, it's like a game from last year. It's like, so you don't know. Like,
yeah, he just got wrecked. But that was the reaction. That was the reaction from this. Was there a lot of people saying, "Oh, you just don't like women in your games"? Well, no. Listen, I enjoyed the Tomb Raider games that came out. They're not my favorites, and they're a little stale and repetitive. But I didn't have any issues playing as Lara Croft in Tomb Raider in those games. I know Mark didn't have any problem playing Resident Evil 3, playing as Jill Valentine. Like, that's not the problem. It's when it doesn't make sense, or where the entire focus of your marketing campaign is to try to be like, ooh, look, there's a women can be on the front lines of World War II as well. Come and play with us, women. That's not what, first of all, it doesn't work to gather your player base. What you need to do to gather a female playing base is release Animal Crossing. That's obvious, but
well, the thing is, men don't mind playing as a well-written female character.
Mark can't even let your joke breathe, where he just moves on. Mark doesn't even acknowledge it.
Well, Mark doesn't breathe. He's a cyborg.
No, I don't. So. I've got robot lungs. Yeah. Like I was making a point that like men don't mind playing as female characters as long as they're well written characters. Like that's all that really matters. It has nothing to do with like, oh, like we don't want to play this Battlefield game because there's a woman in it. Like literally no one has ever said that. It's like, no, we don't want to play a World War II shooter that's claiming to be authentic with an amputee woman in a trench coat fighting on the front lines in the British infantry. Like it's all of those things that make it weird, not just
it's the same as someone making a video game based on the Chicago Bulls and putting a white guy as Michael Jordan, and people are gonna be like, no, I don't want to play as a white guy as Michael Jordan. I want to play as Michael Jordan. It's just stupid, man. These people are so weird.
Well, and it gets diced to make a basketball game, and they're just like, well, we're from Sweden, so we wanted to identify as Michael Jordan, so we made him a tall blonde man.
Well, and Angelus Draven makes a great point. Horizon Zero Dawn is amazing. You played the crap out of that. If they announced right now Horizon Zero Dawn, as a launch title for Horizon Zero Dawn 2 for the PlayStation 5, there would be so many people super excited about that, because that is a great game with a great character. It happens to be a female, but it's not
ginger too.
And a ginger, yeah.
And I got another point to make too, but first, can you please highlight Justin Proper's incorrect spelling of Mark the Cyborg's name? Good job, Proper. You're always correcting people's spelling, and here you are. Look at there.
Maybe he's trolling you like Mario Kart.
No, that's what I was thinking he was doing. Hey, Justin, own it. Just say you were trolling. Even if you made the mistake, just say, no, I was trolling. But yeah, look, dude, I've made this point before. All right, Samus, Metroid, okay? Not one single person has ever played Metroid, some of the greatest games ever. Some of them are. A couple of them are, like other M, but Super Metroid, the Metroid Prime trilogy, a lot of them on Game Boy Advance. Those are some of the greatest games ever made. Nobody has ever complained that it's a woman. Nobody, because she's a badass. She's amazing. Bayonetta. No one's ever complained that it's a woman. It's not about
right there.
Yeah, I mean, no one has ever complained about these things. These people are lunatics. There's nothing wrong with women in video games. It's when you are using it for an agenda that is the problem. Not that
100%. And it always seems to be the same thing, even though they try to make it work. And they even tried to lean into the whole diversity thing with Battlefield 5. You remember they had this party like Battlefield 5 is for everybody after like all the blow up. And
everybody's Battlefield conference.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was it. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead, Jim. I'm done.
I was going to say, for those that are asking about monetization, this is what we're dealing with right here. We were denied based on reused content. I'm sharing the screen right now. If you see it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm looking at all these people's comments on my shirt.
We were denied for reused content, which we have no reused content. So we can reapply. May
6th,
May 5th. May 5th. So that's there's no reused content on this channel. It's so stupid that they hit us for that, and I can't get them to talk to me. I tried to talk to them through the Geeks and Gamers channel because I have a contact, but they won't talk to me about another channel. It's so stupid. So, but that's why. But we're working towards it, and we appreciate you guys being here. Another really good turnout for episode number 2 of the Game with Geeks podcast. We do enjoy these. Lethal normally will be here with us every week, but he's too busy getting. I was going to say something. He's too busy having fun with nurses. That's all I'll say.
Well, to quote, I think it was Darkside Droids in the chat earlier said, Lethal's nurse is having a battle of the bulge right now. I believe that's what he said. So. Everyone talking about my shirt. Bandit Buster says Ryan, the dots on your blouse, and he spells blouse wrong. Really brings out TH, and that's all he says. So nice attempt. You didn't. I don't know what that means, but it's very flattering one way or the other. So I appreciate all the love for my mediocre wardrobe in the chat as always. Now, another thing that came out recently were I think it was yesterday, we got some maybe potential details about Halo Infinite, including a little bit of maybe the story and also some toys that I do have to say, the toys look like dog shit. I don't know who's going to be buying these toys. Let me pull that up here really quick. Thought I had it pulled up, but sometimes I have a few tabs open, guys, and it's tough to find.
Just a few
within reach.
I've got my Master Chief helmet back there.
I don't think of it. I've also got Aloy from Horizon.
Nice.
Nice.
I do like Aloy.
But we hate women, remember.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Halo Infinite. The little bit that we've heard about it. And the just Halo getting back to its roots is a very exciting prospect. So Uche is here. What's up, Uche?
Uche in the house. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Peter? How are you, buddy? Thank you guys for being here. Smash the melee button if you do not mind. This is the Gaming with Geeks podcast, episode number 2. This will be a weekly thing here on the channel. Those look fucking terrible.
Are those? Oh, they're mega blocks. They're basically like kind of poor man's Lego. Not actually poor man. They're like kind of a rip-off of Lego in a weird way.
A poor man. Yeah. So this is one of the things that came out. So Brute Warriors are back. Brutes are back in Halo Infinite. That's one of the things that's coming out from this leak and from these toys. And obviously, like Mark said, it is a Mega Constructs thing, so it does look kind of crappy. Not the same quality as all the other toys we were holding up, but yeah, it looks like trash. But one of the things that people saw from this was the armor that they have on. And a lot of people comparing it to right here, it looks like Banished armor, further confirming that the Banished will be involved in Halo Infinite.
Yeah, cool.
Now, I haven't kept up with Halo. I played Halo 1, 2, and 3, I believe, and I haven't done anything since then. But in addition to that, they also showed this, that it looks like Gungnir armor is coming back. Let's see if I can pull that up. And again, looks like trash because of this toy, but you guys can see right there that it does look like that Gungnir armor is coming back.
Yeah, it's the original Spartan 3's armor. I actually do. I know a stupid amount about Halo. I'm the kind of nerd that have read like about a dozen Halo novels.
Oh, nice. I wanted to try to get into those one time, but I just had too much Star Wars to read. But
Fall of Reach and Ghosts of Onyx are the ones I would recommend reading. Like they're really solid books. Both of them are by Eric Nyland. They kind of fall off a cliff. There's the odd good one here and there, but those are the two that I would be like, if you're going to read any Halo books, Fall of Reach and Ghost of Onyx are the ones to read.
Well, one of the bigger problems with Halo 5 was the lack of Master Chief and other story decisions. Go ahead and break it down for us. What was a lot of
Halo 5 is basically the last Jedi of the Halo franchise.
Is it really that bad?
Oh yeah, it is. It made me like it's the only Halo game I've not even played on Legendary, because once I was finished the story, I'm like, I'm never playing this game again. It's also the only one that hasn't been announced to be ported to PC. So I was sort of thinking that Microsoft might be being like, maybe Halo 5 never happens and that Infinite would override it. But this leak suggests that it is still counting Halo 5 as canon and then sort of moving forward from there. The tricky thing about talking about it, though, is it would be difficult for me to talk about these leaks without sort of spoiling Halo 5. So I guess, I don't know, do we want to go into spoilers?
Yeah,
it's been out for a while.
Okay, so spoilers for Halo 5 for like, I don't know, skip forward like 2 minutes if you're watching this later and you want to play Halo 5 someday. So at the end of Halo 4, guess spoilers for Halo 4 as well, Cortana dies. She goes rampant. There's a very, very beautiful scene between her and Master Chief where she basically just disintegrates and dies, but he's sort of in kind of like a Matrix world where she like actually gets to touch him, and it's a really sweet scene. And she had a good death. It was a good character that everyone's loved from like the original game, and she had a good end. Halo 5, they bring her back and make her the main villain. So like they just sort of like they basically Jake Skywalkered Cortana, where they're just like, now she's back and she's horrible and you hate her. And it's like, oh, that was great, the thing that you did to a character that we all loved. You play as two different squads of Spartans. It's all kind of based around co-op in Halo 5. And you only play as Blue Team, which is Master Chief's team, for about 3 of the 15 or so missions, maybe 4. So the vast majority of the game, you're playing as these new Spartans that we don't really know, who essentially are trying to stop Master Chief from doing what he's doing. So most of the game, you feel like you're playing as these people who are trying to stop the hero. And it was just not a good game in almost any respect. And the story is really horrendous. Halo Infinite, or at least the link, so I guess end Halo 5 spoilers, or at least direct ones, says that it's going to kind of begin with Master Chief saving Cortana from rampancy. Rampancy is basically when an AI grows old to the point that they start thinking themselves to death and then they go insane. But apparently somehow Master Chief is able to save Cortana from rampancy at the beginning of the game, and they find a way to time travel to the beginning of the series and presumably kind of reboot the entire Halo franchise. And that's sort of what the leak is suggesting, which is why the old style of armor is back. It's why that initial announced trailer seemed to be on the original Halo, like the Halo Ring World. And it might be kind of like a remix of the original Halo game, maybe moving into Halo 2 and having the events play out differently. But that seems to be all we know so far about it. Right. It will apparently have people like Spartan Locke, and I see on the screen there, and Palmer, who's one of the other Spartans, Sarah Palmer. Atriox and Arbiter's Keith David's Covenant character, who's got an amazing voice.
Yeah, well, and so it's kind of like there's like 2 ways for me when I think about this. Is one, maybe this is, like you said, Mark, kind of identifying all those problems with 5 and deciding to go back and give people more of what they want, bringing Cortana back in a good way and playing as Master Chief and kind of getting the nostalgia of all this older stuff that people have so much for. But again, could this be kind of like a J.J. Abrams Star Trek situation where you're going back, like you're going to change the timeline now and everything may be different than what everyone has thought before? And I see a lot of people in chat, talking about time travel sucks.
Time travel is not a good idea.
Time travel has become such a gimmick now at this point, and so many people are using it, and very few people use it for anything other than correcting their own mistakes almost. And I can see why people are sick of it. It is sad that Halo has fallen so far, because in its heyday, I would argue that Halo and Master Chief were neck and neck with Mario as the icons of the industry. Halo was like nothing I'd ever seen. You know, the rise of Halo, the peak was towards the end of 2 and the beginning of 3. That was the peak of Halo. And to see how far it has fallen in such a short amount of time too is astonishing. Now, a lot of that had to do with changing, developers, and there was a lot of decisions in a short amount of time that ended up getting us to this place. But I think Xbox suffered because of those decisions too. I think that those decisions hurt them. As at that particular point in time, I felt like Xbox had a pretty strong hold on the industry in terms of the console side of things. They were the kings, and I feel like that the bad decisions that happened with Halo, along with the bad decisions they made with the Xbox One, were kind of blended together and ultimately hurt that overall brand big time. So maybe they can get this thing back on track.
Personally, I bought an Xbox One exclusively for Halo 5, like long before it was out, probably even before it was announced. I was just like, okay, I'm a big enough Halo fan that I will play the next Halo games. And at the time, they weren't releasing Microsoft exclusives on PC. Actually, at the beginning of that generation, I wasn't really even playing PC all that much. And it is me playing Halo 5 and reading the last Halo novel that I read, which I think was called The Thursday War. Those two things, I didn't like either of them, and I'm just like, and I'm out. Then didn't really even get back into Halo at all until Anomaly Inc. and I started playing Reach when it came to Steam a couple months ago. And that was quite a fun time. Going through the Halo campaigns with friends, awesome. Like the co-op is a lot of fun.
It is really good. It is really good.
I
played 1, 2, and 3 through co-op with my friends. That's how I played through the campaigns.
Well, and that's the thing.
That's
and they
awesome.
they were designed so that you could play them single player or go through them co-op. Halo 5's big problem is it was designed around co-op. So you'd have all these cheap deaths because they were assuming that you would die and then your squad mates would come over and revive you. Like the challenge is balanced around having a team of 4 all cooperating and reviving each other. It's not really built in the great way that the first few games were, where like the legendary difficulty especially is like this big combat puzzle that you have all these pieces that you can piece together and solve. And they dropped the ball on that gameplay wise in Halo 5 as well, I found.
Real quick, since we do have we had about 125 people watching, so again, this is going to be a weekly thing here, on the Gaming with Geeks channel, our podcast. And if there's different guests you guys would like to see, let us know. When I was on with Critical Drinker, Midnight's Edge was on there, Nerdrotic was on there. We kind of got into a gaming discussion for a little bit of a period of time. Drinker is a big Resident Evil fan, and we just kind of went down the rabbit hole of video games, and I would love to have some of these guests on eventually. I mean, I kind of want to move this to the main channel, but I kind of want to keep it here. I kind of want to just keep this thing here and keep building it here. But we'll continue to monitor that. But again, if you guys, the more support you give us, the more we can do with this show and this platform. So we do appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a lot of people saying, I hope these leaks aren't true. I hope this isn't true. One of the things, like the reason those toys, and we showed you those toys, why that's so important is because it really does kind of indicate that they may be doing that we're going to see some of that stuff that we saw before back from the Halo 2 era. So it definitely seems to have a lot of weight to it, these leaks, but we'll see as it gets closer. But again, it is surprising. We've heard nothing about Halo. It's intended to be launched with the Xbox Series X, right, Mark? Like that's fully what everyone expects to happen, but we've heard nothing about it. That would
likely be the move. If Microsoft wants to make a big splash with this new console, I think launching it with a Halo game would be the thing to do. That being said, I think the worst thing they could possibly do is release an undercooked Halo game. Because I think that after Halo 5 and after Master Chief Collection's kind of rough launch, if they launch Halo Infinite and it's not great out of the gate, like if they do it like, yeah, this is basically the public beta and we're going to improve it over time, they're not going to be able to get away with that.
Yeah.
This is all or nothing at this point. I mean, they've got to hit a grand slam here. They really do.
For sure.
Lethal is a normal person here on this one right now. Lethal is he's in the hospital, so
there you go.
He's not dying. He still has both legs, so
yeah, he's doing better than me.
We'll see.
Better than Ryan too, because even with the smock or whatever he's wearing at the hospital, it still looks better than Ryan's blouse. That's for sure. So,
Jeremy probably can't even. Jeremy's probably that fucking alt account. That's his alt account in here making fun because he can't spell. That's how I know it's probably fucking Jeremy. Busted, whatever the fuck his name was. But anyway, yeah, that is, and we do like usually. I think we're gonna keep this on Saturdays right around this time, early afternoon for most of the United States, I believe. But it seems to work out well, so we're looking forward to growing this. It's always a hard decision: should we keep this here to help grow this channel, which is having problems being monetized, or go ahead and take it over to the big channel? But either way, we know that we're going to be here every weekend talking to you guys with a rotating panel. Lethal specifying his third leg is also working. And one of the things we're also going to do here is just talk about the games that we have been playing. So when we finish it off here. So Mark, what have you been playing lately and what do you recommend that anyone else plays?
Last night, I just finished the third in that series of JRPGs that I've been playing, the Trails in the Sky games. But other than that, most of this week, I've been pretty much exclusively playing Valorant, the game that I made the video about earlier in the week, which is a really fun game. There are things to note about the anti-cheat software being a little more invasive than what you may or may not want to install in your computer. But as far as like, if you take that stuff out of the equation, the things around the game and focus on the actual game, it's a really, really solid competitive shooter. It's round based. So if you get killed once, you're out for the rest of the round. There's no respawning, but the rounds are fairly short. So you're not really on the sidelines for that long. The gameplay is very, very tense. It has a good mix of fast-paced action with like slow kind of creeping around corners and trying to be silent and outthinking the opponents. And it's got a really cool art style. It's sort of semi-cartoony, cel-shaded, sort of like Overwatch. And I've been really liking it a lot. I didn't play a lot of League of Legends, and it's made by the same company that makes that game. And I see how they are good at making a game that would be very, very good as an esport, which is a term I'm not crazy about, but as a professional competitive game, I could see Valorant being one to look out for sure. And free to play as well too. So if you ever want to try it out, it is not going to cost you anything once it launches. Right now it's a closed beta, so you have to get a key. And the best way to do that is by just watching Twitch streams and having your Riot account linked to your Twitch account. And Riot just sends out keys through everyone streaming it. They're just at random.
Yeah, I watched a lot of your gameplay as well as a lot of other people, and it definitely is. It looks kind of cheap, I guess. You know what I mean? And you even talk about that, how they made it a point in Valorant to make sure it was going to be able and easily to play on all systems, no matter what. And I think that is pretty unique. There's definitely some Overwatch elements to it as well when you look at the different powers of all the people. But I had a good time watching Mark. Make sure to catch his video on this channel where he does a good review of that.
Yeah. Cameo with an X-Ray Girl cameo who's actually behind me playing Stardew Valley over there. That
side. Was actually, I don't know if I got through the rest of the stream. I think I might have just stopped there in the dancing or the rest of the video. But what about you, Jeremy?
Tell X-Ray Girl we said hello. And
X-Ray Girl, Jeremy says hello.
And
Jeremy says hello.
But yeah, same games as usual for me. I've been playing Titanfall 2 because Titanfall 2 is one of the GOATs. I see Lethal is really getting on the Titanfall 2 grind. I just saw him comment that, so I'm happy to hear that. I would love for us to play Titanfall 2 again on Gaming with Geeks. Maybe we can do a live stream on this channel with Titanfall 2. Maybe this next week at some point. Me, you, Mark, Ryan, you get Lethal on here. I think we could have a lot of fun. Titanfall 2 is amazing. You haven't played it that much, right, Ryan?
No, I don't play anything that much. I don't have.
I play the Titanfall 2 campaign on your Twitch channel, dude. It's so good, and it's not that long. What is it? 3-4 hours, Mark?
Yeah, I got through it again recently, and I don't think I was playing it much longer than 4 hours. It's tight, but it's really solid. I think though that I realized one of the things that might throw it off for some people is that almost every level introduces a new mechanic and then like removes the gimmick mechanic for that level. And I think one of the problems that they did is the effect and cause one, like the time shifting watch, that happens too early on because that's the best one, and it's like the third level. But it's really amazing. You have this like wristwatch that lets you blink between two time frames, so like past and present, and you can do that to like outflank people. So someone's shooting at you in the present, you can like hit the thing on your wristwatch, go into the past, run behind them, then flick back and shoot them in the head. It's really great.
Such a great game. I'm playing back through Mario Galaxy just because that's the first time I've actually played through it again because I hate the motion control so bad, but I love the game so much because of the potential remaster coming up. And then Ryan's favorite game, been playing some Animal Crossing. So yeah, good stuff. But I definitely want to play some Titanfall 2 this week if we can together. Love that game so much. So.
I hope you have to go crawling back to Tom Nook and ask for a loan or something or whatever, loan of acorns or however the hell that game works. But that's great. Animal Crossing.
And I caught a shark. Shout out to Krista. She let me come to her island, and it was in July. I caught a great white shark, a hammerhead shark, and it was pretty cool. That's pretty much all I do. I fish constantly. That's all I do is I fish. I just like fishing. That's all. I can't help it.
There was a famous quote from Yoko Taro, who's the director of the Nier games, Nier Automata. And there's fishing in Nier Automata, which is a game about androids fighting robots. So it has nothing at all to do with fishing, but you can just, anytime you see a body of water, you can pull out a fishing rod. And he was once asked, why is there fishing in this game? And his reply was, every Japanese role-playing game needs fishing. Just no other context other than that. It's just like a Japanese role-playing game, you have to have fishing in it at some point, even if it makes no sense.
Krista says I caught a whole whale. Be jealous, Ryan. I don't care.
She caught a whale.
Whale's a mammal.
That's pretty. There's a lot of people who would be really upset about that whale poaching or whatever. Anyway, I bet Jeremy's one of those people who caught the shark and then just cut the fins off and threw it back in, like you see in those Japanese fishing boats. But so for me, basically anything I'm playing, you can see over on my Twitch channel. I stream about 5 or 6 days a week on there, usually around the same time, around 7 or 8 Pacific Standard Time. I've been playing a lot of Batman Arkham Knight. I have been playing some Call of Duty, both normal multiplayer and Warzone. I actually think that we need to do at least a weekly Warzone or Call of Duty stream on the Twitch channel or this channel or both, just because it's there is a big player base for it, and a lot of people are watching that right now. So I think that'd be a good thing to maybe look at doing.
Let's do that instead of Titanfall 2. If we play Titanfall 2, we'd bullshit offline or something. But I think we could probably get more eyes on a Warzone stream for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's a good idea, and there's a lot of
cross-platform play.
Cross-platform play. A lot of big people are streaming all the time, so. I'm looking forward to doing more of that. And I also still am playing through Jedi Academy, which is on PlayStation 4 now. It's available. They also have multiplayer if you want to do that online. I would highly suggest it. It's a great game with great lightsaber combat that was made originally back in 2003. And now they've remade it for the PlayStation 4. It's not like a remaster. It is just kind of a port, if you will, re-release. Yeah. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. You get to see Luke Skywalker as an actual Jedi Master in his Jedi Academy, and not turned into a piece of garbage.
Yeah, when I was making the Jedi Outcast video for Geeks and Gamers in the fall, it's just when you get to Luke in the temple on Yavin and you just see him meditating and like he says Kyle before he even turns around and looks at you, and you're just like, oh my God, Luke, what happened?
Yeah.
Why can't this Luke be in the movies?
and you get way more of him. You get way more of Luke in Jedi Academy, than you do in Jedi Outcast. So definitely that's what I've been playing lately, and I'll continue to play that. The mods do make it awesome on PC. That's true. But do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I just want to give a plug to our Mario Kart stream tomorrow on Gaming with Geeks over on Twitch. We will be streaming. Ryan, he texted me like constant like happy face emojis because he knows he's going to play Mario Kart on Sunday. I was kind of questioning him a little bit. I was like, Ryan, you okay there, buddy? I mean, I'm starting to be concerned. It's just like happiness. He's like, Jeremy, we get to play Mario Kart on Sunday. I'm so happy. And
hold on, I have to say something. So this is the kind of shit that people fucking send me because they want me to just be in pain. You guys know I hate this whole social distancing bullshit. I hate the whole fucking mask idea. And I also fucking hate Mario Kart. Look at this shit I got sent. Look at this shit. I get sent some fucking Mario Kart mask. I hate it.
That's so good.
This is the worst thing ever. So that maybe I'll put this on to keep myself from catching whatever Nintendo has. I don't fucking know.
The math is more about stopping you from giving things to other people.
Well,
so you should probably never wear one because basically all the mask does is it tells everyone that you're walking by that you care about them and appreciate them.
well, then I will never wear it. Because,
so it's the opposite message that you want to say.
That would be a lie.
And I want to give a shout out to our boy Lethal. He's doing good, clearly, but he wasn't here today. But next week he will be back with us, and it's going to be awesome. So yeah,
my shout out's going to Nurse Ashley for taking care of Lethal. Nurse Ashley, you're the best nurse ever, best nurse in the entire continent of Australia.
That's right. Yeah, we are excited for Lethal to get back as well, because we need some more. We got American, we got Canadian. We need a little more diversity. Not skin color, just nationality. That's what we're going for on this podcast. That's as good as it gets here at Geeks and Gamers.
Extra Girl's on here, and she's Asian.
That's true,
and a woman.
Well, yeah. No, if somebody set a rule, no women on the podcast. We'll see if we can ever break that streak at some point. But thanks to all you guys for being here. We do appreciate it very much. We appreciate the support on this podcast. And we will look forward to seeing you all next week, right around the same time, right here. But thank you guys. Have a good one. And we will talk to you later.
See you, everybody. Thanks.